Welcome to another conversation with HPQ after they've put out a new press release. We're once again joined by the CEO of HPQ Silicon, Bernard Tourillon. Mr. Tourillon, thanks for taking the time to join us.
Thank you very much for having me.
So let's talk about the latest press release you put out. And I'm just going to read the title. It says HPQ Silicon and Pyrogenesis evaluating a low-cost and environmentally friendly plasma-based process to manufacture fumed silica.
Yes.
Well, that's very interesting. So let's, and again, I'm just going to start hitting you with my first question. You know, to some that are not, let's just, before we start talking about the whole concept of silica, to some of us who are not familiar with either HPQ or Pyrogenesis, just explain to us the nature of this relationship or partnership that exists between these two companies.
Sure. To put this in perspective, HPQ originally was a exploration company. So what we looked for was for natural resources that were needed for the to make advance the world. So fundamentally, we were more focused. Now at the end, we were more focused on industrial mineral.
Mhm.
That's where quartz comes into it, which is an industrial mineral that has then been transformed into a series of materials that are very useful in day-to-day living.
Mhm.
The problem when you're dealing with industrial mineral is that often going from the primary transformation to secondary to tertiary transformation, it's not the primary transformation, it's not the extraction of the mineral where you make a lot of the money. It's being able to go down the value chain. So as part of trying to resolve that equation, which was quartz is used in everything, as you know, PV buzz, it's used to make solar panels.
Yeah.
It's now being high demand for batteries. So yes, there's a correlation between quartz to all these great high-end material. Where there the states even uses the raw silicone metals uses the raw material to make silicones, which is a different type of product. So there's a lot of down usage to it. Problem when you're a mining company is that you basically just do the primary extraction and you just sell it to a secondary transformer, and then you get the smallest part of the profit because they try to squeeze you on it because it's for them it's an entry cost. So we entered into discussion in 2014. We started to talk with the guys at Pyrogenesis,
Okay.
and we went to see them with our quartz because Pyrogenesis is a massive experience with plasma-based technology. So fundamentally, what plasma, as they describe, is the fourth element. It is a high-energy vehicle that allows transformation of material into different types of things.
Okay.
So we went to see them and asked them a question. This is our quartz or our quartz that we had, and how can we add value to that? So and that's really where it started, and the relationship from there grew. As a lot of people know, we started what known as we started to develop primary technology, was PureVap QRR,
Yes.
and originally it was more focused toward developing a green pathways to make solar cells. Um, for multiple series of reasons, the market changed for the solar industries, and somehow investors didn't make the as quick of a matching between silicone and solar panels. It just wasn't instantaneous.
Okay.
But it was still, we led on and we developed that technology, that first primary. We discovered it had a great advantage, which is a unique capacity of turning quartz into 4N silicone in one step. And also it's fundamental, it's a leapfrog of technologies for making silicone. So it's the equivalent of going from desktop computers to mainframe. From that on, our relationship with Pyro kept evolving. We did some primary work on battery material for silicon. We've been very interested in that since the beginning.
Okay.
But we quickly realized that there is right now um, there's no low cost process of making the powders for batteries. There is a heck of a lot of basically reusage of industrial technologies developed for solar industry to be using it, either RAC silicone with their silane gas or Alchem with their materials. But those are all basically rehashed technologies.
Mhm.
And since Pyrogenesis invented plasma atomization, which is a process that allows to use plasma to make spheric powders, we started our discussion because we knew from the battery side that you need something that's spheric powdered.
So I understand also Pyrogenesis is also a Montreal-based, Quebec-based. So it's a Canadian success story, right? They got recently listed on the Nasdaq from the news I heard a few months ago. And so it's not just a small backyard company, but it's on a global stage, right?
Yes, exactly. The Pyrogenesis, HPQ is very lucky. Pyrogenesis only works with either government entities or multi-billion-dollar a year company.
Mhm.
And so we're the only, smaller. We're the smallest company evolving in that area, but we've developed such a long-term relationship with them.
That's
That's what
interesting.
makes us different.
Let me pull a quote from the press release you put out. In the press release it says, and I quote, "We are excited to work with Pyrogenesis on this new venture. With over 25 years of expertise in torch plasma applications, Pyrogenesis is a market leader in plasma technology." Take a moment to just to explain to us, Pyrogenesis expertise in plasma, technology. Can you expand on this expertise as it relates to what you guys, this partnership?
Yes. Well, as part of the business strategy of HPQ had, the reason why we partner with Pyrogenesis is that they have such a high level of expertise with regard to dealing with industrial issues, taking technologies and using plasma as a goal, as the conduit of taking technology from R&D design to commercial scale. So that's one of their great strengths. The second one is most metallurgic process require lots of heat. That's fundamentally where it is, and plasma is a much more efficient way of doing uh, of generating that heat. So since they've been developing and applying these technology and working this for 25 years, they have such a depth of experience that there isn't too many issues they haven't oversolved. Like in
Mhm.
the battery space, since they've entered plasma atomization, they've been doing small spherical powders for many years. It's not an offshoot very difficult for them to be in the battery. So it is really for them, they continuously look for where their plasma technology can be applied and which market that could be developed. And it's very interesting.
You've had a lot of kind words to say about Pyrogenesis, and it seems these kind words are also equally felt with the team at Pyrogenesis. And I'm going to pull a quote from the press release, and the CEO of Pyrogenesis actually quoting that, we were always taken by the numerous exciting and potentially lucrative offshoots possible from our initial project with HPQ. And he goes on to say other interesting things about HPQ. So why is this relationship with Pyrogenesis important, specifically, and what does HPQ specifically bring to the table, to this, I mean, partnering with this multi-billion dollar company? What you know
Um, what's mutual there is since the beginning. I'm a big student of looking out where the issues are because um, having great ideas is not that difficult. It is the implementation that is the key. And when you look at developing new technologies, that's where there's always going to be tons of unknown. Um,
true.
I make the joke about the example of Falcon X and the new system, and now I think this week they successfully landed
Oh, they
this.
landed it. Yeah, yeah.
They landed it, but it blew up a lot of times. So that's literally what research and development is. And what happens often is, mining companies have this brilliant idea, so we can go much further down the line of valuation, and but by just getting into this, but you don't. The transformation doesn't happen overnight. There is a learning curve. There's all these issues.
Yep.
So when I looked at the failures of other projects, which there are multiple of them, one of the key part you realize is the technical team. Now, I was conscious enough of reality that I could not build a technical team. You need a world class technical team to be able to advance those type of projects. And partnering up with Pyrogenesis under the structure that we did, it's sort of a win-win situation. Fundamentally, the deals are structured around the following thing: HPQ finances 100% of the cost of developing it,
Okay.
the technologies, for 90% of the revenue stream. Um, And I think it's a very lucrative win-win because we gain the advantage of having such a large technical teams that went through series of, going through startups, developing new technology, bringing them to commercial scales on multiple level. That is a priceless expertise that you just can't recreate.
That's true.
So that's really, so what do we bring to Pyro? Is fundamentally we bring business ventures, business line that probably independently they wouldn't have looked at developing, and now they're realizing they're very valuable application to their plasma processes. So it's a very symbiotic relationship where we look at different projects. So we started to look at the original, how to take our quartz and look at making multiple values. And here we are 6 years later, and we have three $1 billion business lines that can be developed out of this. So it's very mutually beneficial to both of us.
And there was
Um,
it's I
yeah.
think it's a very smart, just like you mentioned, it's a very symbiotic relationship which helps both parties. But um before getting um to into the relationship and things like that, let's step back a second and just ask again, what is Fume Silica, by the way? We're talking about, the expertise, the management, the behind the scenes, but let's talk about the chemistry. What is Fume Silica, and again, if I might add, what are its industry applications specifically?
It's one of those. It's just like silicone metal. It's one of those material that are used in everyday life that nobody has a clue they're using it. Fundamentally, I think the definition we say is it's a white microscopic powders with high surface area. What the heck that means? It's just basically it's very useful um, in personal care, pharmaceutical. It's one of those material you need to add to make either paint glow better or multiple chemical application.
Hmm.
And it's one of those products that are used, everywhere on so many things. The rubbers you use in your tires and all those type of application, it uses there because fundamentally the silicone bond, the Si to O2 bond, the Si bond,
Yeah.
is one of the strongest in the world. So that's literally what it is. So it is the capacity to reuse this, but I'm not a chemical expert, so maybe I'm saying things out of left field. But fundamentally, it's one of those products that is used in many, many things. And there is an opportunity because there's a problem in the way it is manufactured. As I've said before, present manufacturing process are offshoot of the solar industries, which uses massive and dirty chemicals into it. And it's very energy intensive. So if you can have a much more efficient system, you're going to have a better product. The other advantage is that we know it's going to be very successful is the raw ingredient to start the process to make fume silica for traditional player is silicone metal. Okay, so that's a material that right now sells about $3 a kilogram.
Okay.
Our raw ingredient is quartz, which sells for $5, 5 cents a kilogram. 5 cents a kilogram. They have probably like 6, 7 steps required to make their product. We're going to have one where it's going to be the plasma torch that does the work. I'm overly simplifying it, I agree. So it's a really exciting venue because it's a market that's increasing. It's a market where there is local usage. There is, there is a lot of Canadian, Quebec-based companies that use it, but there are no Canadian manufacturers. There's only one North American manufacturer. The bulk of the manufacturing is in Asia. And it is a product that's extremely light, but takes a lot of volume. So it's very expensive to ship. So there's all these beautiful advantages that go in synergy to what we're doing in our business, because fundamentally it's going to be the same quartz we're going to need to make our silicone metal to make our material for batteries that we're going to take for it.
Mhm.
So it's going to give us a better position when we discuss with parties to get our quartz, to buy our quartz. So it fits exactly within the boundary of where we are doing.
So in the press release, you guys mentioned a lot um, about the this low cost process,
Mhm.
and about its the it that it presents it's a better and environmentally friendly option to the manu. And you've just mentioned that if you in your last sentence there. But let me well, there's a market. It makes sense that there's a market for low cost products, but playing devil's advocate here, what is the specific market value when you're talking about focusing more on an environmentally friendly process of manufacturing this fumed silica?
Well, I think post-COVID, as we move forward, I think there's a lot of realization that have been gained. There's a lot of advantage of having a local production. So you risk less the problem of supply chain disruption.
Mhm.
But there's also a very big push from investors on down, from government to investors, to have better control over the ESG, which is environmental, social, and government rules.
Yeah.
So having a product that is made through a process that basically liberates a lot of what's its exact term? It's like hydrogen chloride gas, which is something that's the EPA considers a very dangerous material to be released,
Mhm.
versus our process, which is completely green. I'll give an example. It wasn't long ago that um, Apple decided to invest in project where they wanted to have green aluminum, and it was just using hydroelectricity to reduce, I think, it reduced by 50% the number of kilograms of carbon dioxide release, but
Emissions.
still. So there is a demand for it. So if you have a product, okay, that is going to be anyway cheaper, easier to make, plus it is green,
Yeah.
I think it is a much better advantage. At the same time, there's multi-billions of dollars of fund looking for green tech investment, and I think that's what we represent.
Yeah, and there's something I think they're coining the rise of the the something investor that's going on right now. People looking
Millennia,
specifically.
first of all, like when I started in the business, it was the baby boomers that was driving the mining companies and the mining development. I think now it is the millennials that are driving it, and they have a much more environmental
Conscious way of
consciousness
looking
and
at
vision.
stocks.
That doesn't mean they don't want to make money, but if giving them a choice, they will look for the type of solution that we're looking to provide.
Excellent. Now, looking at you've already mentioned some stuff about the market for fumed silica, but let me pull another quote from the press release, and I read, it says demand for fumed silica is growing at 6% CAGR, with a global addressable market expected to grow to 2.2 billion US next year. So this is exciting.
Yeah, no, it's
And
great.
I put you now on the hot seat. Where are we with this? Let's go back to this partnership. Now, where are we in the process? Is this an idea? Is this something a plan that is in motion? Where are we right now?
We're much more advanced than the word evaluating leads on to believe. Fundamentally, if you look at where the technology is and the scale of development, and we put that in perspective with our QRR technologies, I think we're at the phase where very, very soon we'll be announcing how we're going to go and make the pilot plant. So we're going to have a commercial sized pilot plant with the aim of producing enough material to start sending samples to end clients and get them qualified.
Mhm.
So, but it's not going to be a test machine. If we looked at where the processes are, okay, our QRs are more advanced. Our fume silica is going to be at the phase of building a pilot plant, while the nano reactor is at the phase of building a proof of commercial scalability system. But let's not get too crazy. The nano reactors is going to have a capacity to produce something around 6 metric tons per year by the end of this year.
Okay.
And but when we're talking about full scale commercial production of all our processes, that's going to be those are going to be really bigger size plant. So if you look at where our projects are, you have the QRR, which is the most advanced technology in the sense that we're finishing the building and the assembly of the pilot plant.
Mhm.
Which for people that don't understand it, the pilot plant, I think we've said it before, but people may be confused. The pilot plant is being built within Pyrogenesis's production facilities.
Okay.
We'll have the Fumed Silica pilot plant that we're going to be giving more updates how we're doing about this. But this is where the project is, and we have the nanoparticles, which is going to be the proof of commercial scalability system, operational by the end of the year. Right now, we have a first system where we're working out the kinks before we build the second one. So I think this is what makes HPQ really a fun little business venture, in the sense that we have multiple multi-billion-dollar potential or addressable market business lines that are developing. And that's how we aim to do and to keep developing and keep moving forward.
For the critics who would say HPQ is doing a lot of things and spreading themselves thin, that maybe they should just focus on silicon for batteries like they've always done, which gets people excited. What do you say to that?
Well, I was pretty certain I was going to get that level of criticism or question mark, or you should focus. But people have to realize there's a certain ebb and flow when you do R&D development from what we're doing. Okay. And I would understand that criticism if it was HPQ alone doing this with HPQ team. But, Pyrogenesis has the depth, the capacity to develop those type of projects, multiple projects at the same time. So, our two first projects are interrelated, the QRR and this one. And the other one is an offshoot, an incredible opportunity that fits in the business plan. So it's sort of like it would have been stupid for us not to take it. I understand, and I know there's going to be criticism. People have said the market for batteries is going to be massive, and I completely agree with this. But I'm not taking something from one to make the other one else. It's just basically it's HPQ plus, okay? And
like Disney Plus.
Yeah, Disney Plus and all those concepts. So you have to realize this. And I fully expected, in the alternate universe of social media, that there's going to be some people who have a different agenda that's going to come and criticize it. Should just focus on making batteries. We are doing what we are doing, as I explained in our previous, communication about the battery material. It's advancing. It's following ebb and flow. And it's going to be the same thing. If you only have one project and you just focus on one, okay, there might be, and not that there might be, a stumble. But if you only have one project, that stumble sort of like can be fatal. Example given, at the beginning, HPQ was only focused on the solar business, okay? That floundered. Luckily for us, we discovered that our process was so efficient in making silicon metal that we were competitive in the entire
value chain
spectrum. But the original focus was only to go solar through a metallurgy group. Luckily for us, we discovered the expansion. So it's the same thing here. It's just a question of expansion of what we're doing that have a very direct effect of reducing the risk. So we have a different type of silos. And they're designed for that.
Once again, it's always great to have you with us, Mr. Tourillon, and we do hope to chat again in the near future, and we'll be keeping an eye. The team at PV Bus here will be keeping an eye for any developments in this and how it relates to solar technology or the clean tech sector in general. Thank you for taking the time to join us.
Well, thank you for giving us this opportunity, and it's going to be fun to be able to do these interviews, once in English, once in French, so people, bilingual people can compare, and at least, Anglophone will not feel gypped that they didn't get a chance to do this in French.
Yes, so, and thanks for reminding me. So for our French audience, we are going to do another interview in French. So we're probably going to leave a link somewhere on this page, so check it out. Thank you.